Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Well, let's say this Twinkie represents the normal amount of psychokinetic energy in a Nintendo Switch. According to this morning's sample, it would be a Twinkie 35 feet long, weighing approximately 600 pounds.
That's a big Twinkie.
It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with ya. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
It's going great. I have a question for you, Patrick. I feel
Yes.
like between the two of us, you are more the coffee drinker than myself.
I'm drinking coffee at present.
And so, what is it about coffee in the past that was so difficult to make correctly? You know how like in movies,
right, that it's always like bad coffee.
Uh-huh.
They go to like diners and it's always a bad cup of coffee.
This coffee tastes like sludge.
Yeah, well, but I mean, like, have you ever had coffee made by someone who, I mean, I guess you're not a coffee drinker.
Right.
But so do you have a coffee pot in your home?
I don't think I do, actually.
Okay, so if I told you to make coffee right now, could you do it?
Well, I see. Okay, I know. I think you're onto something here.
Yeah.
Which is, with a coffee maker, I could, right? I would put like the coffee beans in the filter. I'd put it in the top. I would like push the button. The hot water would go through. It basically do it all for me.
Sure.
But like in,
I mean, the beans should have been ground before, but sure, yes.
But in the Old West, for instance, out on the range,
right,
there is no automatic coffee maker.
Well, first, where are they getting their coffee beans?
I don't know.
And so they're probably like shipped from very far away, which means they're probably old or like freeze dried or something, right? And then how finely are they grinding them up? Do they really have a sense of like how long to pass the water through the grounds?
And how are they passing the water through the grounds? Now I'm really thinking about like in cowboy movies.
Yeah.
When they're making
they're making cowboy coffee, how does that happen?
How is any of it happening? How are the logistics? Where are they, like you said, where are they getting the beans from?
Yeah. Oh, and like the real question for me is like, where do they get the little like cups that you put in the machine and then like push down and then push the button and it just makes the espresso for you?
And then are they carrying all of those empty containers in their saddlebags, or are they
must,
just like tossed? Because they're not just tossing them.
There would be a record of them being discarded all over the American West.
I think you're right. They were keeping them in their saddlebags, but they would occasionally take them out to spit their tobacco juice.
That's right, and then seal them back up.
Yeah. That's right.
And then bury them underground.
Yeah. Because it's just polite to do.
Yes.
When you're out on the range.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, I try to imagine the food that any cowboy, like, takes with them.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm sure they were eating good in terms of, like, produce that they were encountering or, like, animals. Never mind. Cowboys probably just ate garbage anyway.
Yeah, they probably did. All, like, beans and beef jerky.
A lot of beans and beef, and occasionally salsa that came all the way from New York City.
New York City,
they're not happy about it.
Get the rope. But I guess like in the 1970s,
sure.
But I guess we're still talking about like coffee pots in office buildings. It was such a hack joke, you know.
Yes,
but, like it exists.
Like that you have crappy office coffee. And I think that still kind of exists, which is why people have switched over to those like individual. You just put the pod in and then like push the button, because like if someone makes a pot of coffee, everyone is subjected to that person's like coffee preferences because they do it, right? And also you're probably making a bigger pot of coffee than you're used to making for like yourself. And then also who knows how long it's been sitting there.
Right.
There is someone that I've worked with in the past who puts like the dehydrated coffee creamer and sugar right in the carafe, and like
that is an interesting move.
It's terrible because then everyone has to opt into that. Like,
yeah,
it's just bad news.
Well, I guess it's just one of those things that modern life we just don't worry about anymore.
Yeah, we just don't worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
If you would like to help us not worry anymore, you can head on over to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where you can support us if you choose to at the 4, 8, or 16-bit levels. If you are supporting us at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, you get regular access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries that we're putting out. We just finished Season 1 of NCS Arcade.
Yeah, we talked about Earthbound. It was a good 2.5-hour conversation.
It's a good conversation.
A lot of fun. And then for this next season of NCS Arcade, we're kicking it off by playing a Game Boy Mega Man game, but we don't know which one just yet. You have until Tuesday at midnight Pacific time.
Right.
Well, I guess Tuesday 11:59. So right before it clocks over to Wednesday.
Right. Yes.
Anybody can vote. We'll put the link to the poll in the show notes. Anybody can vote whether you're a member of the Patreon or not.
And it is currently a 3-way tie at the time of recording between Mega Man 1, Dr. Wily's Revenge, Mega Man 4, and Mega Man 5.
Okay.
So it's break this tie.
Yes.
A tie will not make us play multiple games.
That's right.
I don't even want to know how we lash out if there's a tie.
Also, you can follow us for free, where you'll be getting like the feedback episodes where we answer listener feedback to the main episodes.
Speaking of, we are going to be doing one of those for Earthbound in a little less than a week. So get your emails into us by the end of the day on Sunday, this coming Sunday. What is that, July 7th? Something like that?
Yes.
So get those emails into us now. We want to know your thoughts, your questions about Earthbound, things that we missed, things that we misinterpreted, things that we nailed. That'd be good too. And then we will incorporate those into our conversation about that everyone gets access to. And then also, if you are supporting us at the 4-bit level, you now have access to the first season of NCS Detective Club. So enjoy our conversations about Dick Van Dyke as an old doctor solving mysteries. There's one where he goes undercover as a priest in a convent, right?
Yeah.
And Delta Burke is a nun.
That one's so good.
That one's so good. All right. Also, if you are not already in our Discord, you should be. So email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com, and we will let you in. Mark, of course, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle source book is still out there, coming out. Issue 4 comes out in September.
The one website I found that had a release date said September 5th. So
September 5th. So pre-order that if you have not already. All right, Mark, let's get into our topic of the day. We're celebrating Luigi's Mansion 2 HD by casting some ghost movies with Nintendo characters. Okay, so one thing I just I noticed / thought about as we set ourselves with this assignment, right? Of here are some ghost movies, some famous ghost movies.
Yep.
Let's cast them with Nintendo characters. This is an exercise we've done in the past with Star Wars and
Lord of the Rings.
And maybe that's it.
That might be
musicals. We did with musicals.
Oh yeah. That was that specifically with Animal Crossing characters?
I think so, but then we ended up casting ourselves in
Frozen.
In Frozen,
yeah, that's right. We double cast ourselves.
That's right. Well, because I don't want to just sing the Elsa part,
and I don't want to just sing the Anna part.
Okay, perfect.
I mean, it worked out. I'm not complaining. I'm just recapping what we did.
And so we picked 3 ghost movies that I was like, these are totemic ghost movies. These are all ghost movies from when I was a child.
Yeah, oops.
Oops.
Yeah, they kind of ended up being all late 80s, early 90s ghost movies.
Yes. So should we run down the ghost movies that we're going to be talking about? So first we're going to be casting 1990s Ghost, then 1988's Beetlejuice, and of course we're going to be closing up with the 1984 Ghostbusters, which will just be our catch-all for Ghostbusters, right? Because those characters are characterized elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so that'll just be we'll catch them all there. But before we move into that, just what obviously there's a through line between Luigi's Mansion and Ghostbusters, right? That Luigi is a Ghostbuster. He's got, if not a proton pack, he's got a vacuum cleaner strapped to his back. Is it the ghost genre doesn't really feel like a Nintendo genre of game or thing that they explore, right? Even though there are ghosts and booze and stuff.
Yeah, totally. I mean, of course, we tip our hat to the GameCube game Geist.
Of course, we say yes, hello, Geist. And are either of us going to be casting that character as the Patrick Swayze character in Ghost? Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah.
Would it kind of make sense?
Possibly.
Who knows?
But yeah, we tip our hat to the. But you're right. It's not really something they dabble in. I've always had this kind of like pet theory, especially because the first Luigi's Mansion takes place in a mansion, like the first Resident Evil. That Luigi's Mansion is Nintendo's take on Resident Evil, but they don't really.
But they didn't have the guts to call it resident friendly.
That's right.
We should have done Casper as well.
Oh no! Sorry. Before I take us into
Stinky,
a tangent.
Stretch, and Fatso. Sorry, go ahead.
We should finish this thought on on it not really being a Nintendo genre.
Right. I mean, like, I feel like games kind of like dip into it and then dip out, right? Like Zelda games will, like the original Legend of Zelda brings you into a graveyard. They kind of like repeat that sort of thing. There are Poes that are ghosts, or like, other things like that. Or there's like the ghost ship in Super Metroid. So there's always like just a little bit of like spectral something or other going around the periphery, but they're just not, I think part of that is like staying away from like religious iconography as much as they can, and especially in being localized to the US, that they were like, no, we're gonna steer clear of any of that like occult kind of stuff.
I also think Nintendo just isn't that into freaking you out.
Right.
It's not really their goal.
And until we get to the end of a Kirby game, they're not interested in freaking you out.
Yeah. That must be the HAL influence.
Yes, that's right. That's all HAL.
But and maybe we should say this for the end.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of ghost movies from the past like 30 years.
Sure.
That we could do. That would have been like more. I mean, it's too late. We're not doing them. But like that are more modern, but would count for this exercise if we were to do it again.
Right. I get what you're saying. And I mean, obviously, we had to rule out Beetlejuice, and
the various Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good. It's a great question. Like,
it just like
Ghost
Did
Rider?
it just flourish in the late the 80s and 90s?
Yeah.
And
I mean,
then,
like, do we not believe in ghosts anymore?
Well, I mean, obviously you have the horror movies,
right?
That like in the early 2000s you had Ring, you had
right. But is that little girl a ghost? And Ring is really more just like, here's a freaky video and then you die, right?
Right, but the little girl's an integral part of it.
Sure, right. But is she a ghost, I guess is what I'm saying.
Is she a ghost or
like
is
a poltergeist of some kind?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like most horror things end up being undead more than like once like zombies like planted their flag, it's kind of been like, that's it.
Yeah, no, that's true. So maybe it's just it's
a bygone genre.
Yeah. The 90s we had disaster films.
Mm-hmm.
In the 2010s we had like superhero movies.
There you go.
And so maybe it's time. Maybe Beetlejuice
brings
and
it back.
Ghostbusters,
Frozen
whatever.
Empire.
Yes. Yep. It's all cyclical.
Yeah, that's right.
We're accidentally topical.
Yes. No, but we're on purpose topical about
because of Luigi's
Mansion. Yeah. Look, I understand this episode is coming out on the 4th of July, and so it's weird for us to be talking about ghosts. I don't care.
It's Nintendo's fault.
It's Nintendo's fault for releasing Luigi's Mansion 2 HD so close to our nation's birthday.
Yeah.
So, okay. Good. That's and then just like generally speaking, how do you feel about like ghost fiction? Like, are ghosts a thing for you? Do you like ghosts?
Oh, do I like ghosts?
I mean, conceptually.
Yeah. I think I prefer Nintendo's take on ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I like a Boo.
You don't really need to. Yeah, I love a Boo.
I love a Boo.
He's too shy.
The shyest.
Yeah. You look at him, he's got to cover his eyes.
What about you? Are you into ghost fiction?
I am not really into ghost fiction. I do like the I like the like kind of I guess like you're saying the Nintendo approach to it, which is like kind of more fun and cute. I like the Haunted Mansion as an aesthetic, where it's like here's a ghost, but also like you can see how it's achieved, and like it's more funny than it is scary. So and yeah, and then if I want to go like genuine horror, then I like like slashers or zombies or whatever.
Is Beetlejuice a ghost? He's an undead.
This is a great question. I don't even know if he's undead. Was he ever alive? Is he a demon of some kind?
Oh yeah, maybe he is like a demon of some kind. But the two dead people in it,
yes,
like
are
Alec
ghosts.
Baldwin and Gina
Yes.
Davis, they are ghosts.
Right. Well, and Beetlejuice is like a denizen of the afterlife.
Yeah.
But like, so too are the sandworms, and they're not ghosts, right?
Well, they're on the moon of Saturn. They're on a moon of Saturn.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Great.
So whenever they, you know what? Let's start at the beginning.
There are ghosts in Beetlejuice.
There
we know
are.
this for sure.
Yeah.
So yes, we'll start at the beginning with casting Ghost. 1990 romantic comedy
drama.
In some part, it's a hard to pin down movie what exactly Ghost is. At the point that Ghost was released, it was the third highest grossing movie of all time.
It was huge, and
just under E.T. and Star Wars.
I have to look this up because I'm trying to remember exactly. So it was directed by Jerry Zucker.
Yes,
which
of
is
the Zucker brothers.
Yes,
yes.
Like known for Airplane and Top Secret.
Yes, and so it does have like it is very funny, right? And it does have a little bit of like high concept comedy energy to it, even in moments when it's being deadly serious. Like the premise of Ghost, if you are not familiar with the movie Ghost, because even though it was the third highest grossing movie of all time at the time it came out, I feel like it's sort of forgotten now.
I would say the like pottery scene is like the psycho shower scene where it has been parodied so many times that I'm sure people know the parody. I had not seen Ghost until I watched it to prepare for this episode.
And you didn't much care for it. Is that right?
I liked any time Whoopi Goldberg's on screen.
Right. She's a star.
She is
and
so
won an
good
Oscar
in it,
for it.
And
so.
Demi Moore is beautiful. I could not take Patrick Swayze's like mugging.
Okay, here's the thing. First of all, I cannot get behind this take. But Ryan Mogi is having she did a hot Swayze summer where she's watching a bunch of Patrick Swayze movies. And so I went to her house to watch Point Break. We went to Vidiot's to see Tu Wong Fu, and then because we're doing this, I have now watched Ghost, and so I'm having like a little bit of a, like a little collateral damage Swayze summer, and I'm grooving on Swayze right now. I'm liking his like just like smiley handsome guy with great hair energy. I'm like, yes, I'm just riding that.
So he is a banker.
Yes.
And he's they're not married, right? They're just dating.
They're
they're engaged maybe.
I think they're just dating because she says at one point like I want to marry you.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
yes.
A woman
named go ahead.
Molly Jensen, played by Demi Moore.
Right. And she's like an artist of some kind or like some sort of bohemian cool chick.
Yeah, and they live in the most incredible
loft
apartment you've ever seen.
They bought like an apartment and then just like smashed through the ceiling above them and found more apartment.
Yeah, the kind of luck that only like rich white people
absolutely
can have.
Absolutely. Sarah, by the way, looked up that apartment and you can buy it now if you want. It's $10 million.
And so Patrick Swayze gets murdered.
Right.
By like a seeming random mugger in the street, and
Willie Lopez.
But he is not like he doesn't go to heaven or anything. He's still around.
His spirit sticks around.
He has some unfinished business, and so with that, he's able to like see what's going on and everything. But in order to try to communicate, and he finds out that like his banker business partner Carl. Is the one who arranged his murder, and Carl's been like stealing money, and he has it in this.
He's got a whole
all
like,
this kind of stuff. And so, but Patrick Swayze goes to a psychic.
Sam. His name is Sam.
Sam. Oh yeah, Sam goes to a psychic. Oda Mae Brown, played by Whoopi Goldberg, and she's so funny in this movie.
She's so
very
funny.
good.
She's so funny. And just like magnetic, like you just can't keep your eyes
She
off
won
her.
an Oscar for it,
Yep.
and 100% deserved.
Yes.
And so for whatever reason, she's like a fake psychic, right? But
right. She has like a lineage of like her mother, her mother's mother, like all had the gift. So Sam is the first ghost that she's actually able to hear and like sort of channel. And so Sam uses Oda Mae Brown to communicate with Molly to be like, Molly, you're in danger, girl. Then Carl and Willie like try to stop them from going to the police, and stuff ensues from there. Sam learns how to use like ghost telekinesis.
He can manipulate objects,
physical objects, and it starts out really small where he can like move a penny. And he's taught this skill by a ghost on the subway. And we don't have subway ghosts on our list of characters to cast, but I think we must.
we could.
He's a chaotic force and like a ghost who's been haunting the subway car for seemingly ever.
Yeah.
And has just like gone insane, but knows how to manipulate the real world. So that's Ghost more or less, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Also, I just want to like note here, as we will see in these other movies, Ghost very strongly associated with the song Unchained Melody. Right? Like that there is a song that goes with this Ghost movie. So I don't know if we need to like, because the other two will also have like songs associated with them. So maybe we need to pick a piece of Nintendo music that also goes with
that might be.
Is that too hard?
That might be too hard.
Okay, all right.
What is the Nintendo mapping of Unchained Melody?
I mean, it's probably the end of Super Mario Land.
Okay, maybe it won't be that hard.
It sounds like I nailed it. Okay, all right. So should we start with Sam?
Yes, and I think we're going to have very different takes on this.
I think so, too, because it sounds like you don't like Patrick Swayze
I like Patrick Swayze. Yeah, I don't like him in this movie.
Yeah.
That is true. There's just so many...
He is the weakest of the trio in Tu Wong Fu.
I just feel like in this movie, his role is a little bit thankless because it's a lot of, like, Whoopi Goldberg talking to somebody and then cutaways to him like he's a dog in a sitcom being like,
Yeah, sure.
What? Sure. You're saying that?
Yeah.
It's too much for me. There's so much mugging.
But he's got to. Well, whatever. I think you're right in that it is a tricky role to play because for most of it he can't really play off of anyone.
Right.
Like he can sort of play off of Whoopi Goldberg, but like she also can't see him in the movie. So even when she's talking to him directly, she's kind of like looking around. But okay, so who do we've each come like a little bit prepared for this, so like we'll see sort of where we land.
I want to hear yours first.
Okay, so I have two picks.
Okay, great.
And the first is sort of like queuing off of this scene where they're doing like demolition on their own apartment to find a second apartment above it. And Wrecking Crew Mario. Because like he's just, first of all, they're knocking down a wall and he's not wearing a shirt.
Mario famously not wearing a shirt in Super Mario Odyssey.
That's right. But he's doing some like demolitions there, and then like he's just got like such a like handsome main character energy that I'm just like it's just sort of the same like kind of Mario clean slate. But what I really think, and this is where I think I'll get no support from you, is Locke from Final Fantasy VI.
Oh,
so sort of roguish, but like a little bit of a romantic, a man of action when he needs to be. Which like it is remarkable how they're like getting mugged and Swayze springs like right into action.
Oh yeah.
Like she's like just give him the wallet, and Sam's like, no, I'm taking the gun away, and like wrestles the guy. So someone like maybe a little bit more irresponsible than you want from someone who's also like an important figure in something.
Yeah.
In Locke's case, it's his role with the Returners, like the Resistance group in Final Fantasy VI, and here it's with this bank that he works for, and someone who can like work all the angles the same way that Locke would. Like Swayze knows how to like work some angles and just like be persistent until he gets what he wants.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate Locke from Final Fantasy VI. Um, so, but everything you were saying made me think that maybe it's Breath of the Wild Link.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
I
go
feel
on.
like he's got the hair.
He does have the hair, yeah.
He
Starts without a shirt.
Starts without a shirt. Or so maybe it's actually, yeah, I guess it could be Breath of the Wild Link. Maybe it's Tears of the Kingdom Link, just because I'm thinking like the building part of it that we're getting from like, Mario.
Oh, sure.
But then also a man of action.
Right.
Plus a man of 1,000 faces, right? Because Link
Yes.
doesn't communicate through language. He communicates through like pulling different faces.
Right. The only thing that I feel like that Link lacks is he's not a romantic, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I think the thing that is keeping Sam on Earth, is that he loves Molly and wants to protect her.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I guess like Link and Zelda in Tears of the Kingdom have like his whole point of like going on the adventures, like Zelda's gone.
They have a relationship.
They have a relationship, yeah. Thing is, we keep seeing like apparitions of Zelda throughout. Is Sam better played by Zelda from Tears of the Kingdom?
Well, but we don't really see apparitions of Zelda, right?
Because right.
It's fake Zelda.
Spoilers for Tears of the Kingdom, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we've got some good options.
We have
here.
some good options. Here's a bad option that I'll throw out, just
please.
because I came prepared with it.
Right. And you wanted to one more punch on Swayze in this movie?
No. Yeah. Okay. So it's Shunsuke Utsugi from Famicom Detective Club.
Okay, is that like the big dumb guy?
No, it is the like detective of the Utsugi Detective Agency that you don't see at all in The Missing Heir, and you see for like only glancingly in The Girl
Who Stands Behind. Yeah, when we get like the story of him like finding you, right? Or at least
in the beginning.
Yeah, you go to a diner together.
Yeah,
the coffee was probably bad.
The coffee was probably not optimal. But yeah, my pitch, handsome.
Yep.
And not really present, so kind of like in the game.
Right.
So kind of like a ghost.
I gotta say, I do watching Ghost made me want a like Molly POV cut of it where like we just don't see Swayze the whole time. Like after he dies, that like he's obviously having this influence, but like we just see and hear what she sees and hears.
That's funny. And then at the end, when Molly and what is his name, Sam, are like hugging, we would actually see Molly and Oda Mae, hugging, because that's actually what's happening.
Yes. But I guess we would see him again when he ascends to heaven at the end of the movie.
Oh, right, because they do as well.
Right.
So Locke and Link, I think, is where between our two options. I think I like Locke. I think that's a good one. Locke.
Let's go with Locke here. I will copy and paste into the document here so that we've got a running record, and we'll always remember what we have done here.
For good and for ill.
I think for good. I think we're doing good here, Mark.
Up next is Molly Jensen.
Yes.
So she's an artist. She has beautiful like doe eyes that are tear-filled through much of the film.
Yeah, I mean, Demi Moore.
An iconic kind of like page boy haircut.
Here's what I love about that character is she, like we said, like has this sort of like artistic sensibility and is just like turning their incredible find of this apartment into like a bohemian paradise, right? It's just like art everywhere. And she's a skeptic, but she's also like, I don't know, I feel like she takes action. She goes to the cops and like tries to... Stephen Root is also in Ghost and has like one scene where he's like, plays a good cop. Like, I don't know. I like Stephen Root in this movie a lot. But yeah, so who do you got for
I have
for
Pauline from Donkey Kong.
Pauline from Donkey Kong / from Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
I have Pauline later in our later in our cast here. But I think you're right that they share a lot of qualities.
I don't think that Molly is a very I feel like she just spends a lot of the movie.
She's stricken by grief in a lot of it. Yeah. So like it makes it tough for her to like, even like Carl shows up and is like, let's whatever. And he's like trying to trick her into like leaving the apartment. And like she just over and over again is like, my like basically husband just died. Like I'm not ready to do anything.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's in some ways there's just not a lot for her to do except look really beautiful and sad a lot of the movie.
Right. And make pottery.
And then like scream and run away at the climax.
Right. And she and Otome do like they do a good job of like escaping and like climbing on ladders and stuff.
Totally.
Which almost I mean that sort of like construction like setting does make me think of the original Donkey Kong. So yeah, maybe she is not Pauline from Mario Odyssey, but like old school Pauline in like the pink dress.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
I had Ashley from WarioWare, but the more we're talking about Pauline, I'm like, Ashley's no good.
It's no fault of Debbie Moore, who again is great in the movie.
Yeah.
I just don't think I think Pauline from Donkey Kong is good because she is more of plays that damsel in distress role.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of like Molly's role in the movie.
Yeah. Well, and especially if we can like project some of her like musical artsiness from Odyssey onto this character, like that those sort of qualities overlap. I do have a note here that I would also cast Sam and Molly as CJ and Flick from Animal Crossing New Horizons.
I mean, that's not terrible.
Sam would be CJ, of course, and Molly would be Flick. But yeah, I mean, I think that we're probably better served with Locke and Pauline. Okay.
So moving on to Oda Mae Brown, played by Whoopi Goldberg in the movie.
Yes. Has a like spiritual connection, but is also like a little bit of is a con woman. Has a rap sheet. Fiercely independent, but is also like a loyal friend. Super funny.
Yeah.
Who do you got? I can tell you who I got. It's Midna.
Oh my gosh, Midna is perfect
because she'll also like just like Oda Mae like needles Sam like throughout, even when he's like relying on her. Like she doesn't care, or she does care, but like she's playfully rude with him in the same way that Midna is with Link when he's a wolf. So yeah, Midna is my pitch.
Midna is very good. I had Daisy from like the Mario series.
Yeah, sure.
A little bit like tougher exterior.
Yeah.
Heart of gold.
But like, is Daisy funny?
Daisy's not funny.
Daisy's not funny, guys.
No.
Midna?
I think Midna's really good.
Midna's funny.
I think Midna's really good.
Okay, so from The Legend of Zelda, the Twilight Princess, Midna is going to be our
Oda Mae.
Our Oda Mae Brown. Okay, great. And then we're not going to cast Carl. We're not going to cast Willie. Who cares? But the subway ghost, the crazy old crank who has mastered the powers of ghost telekinesis. Obviously, I'm springing this one on you, so you have.
My mind immediately goes to Cranky Kong.
Cranky Kong is a great pull. I had selected either, and these are both different, like chaotic energies, and they're both children, so maybe they're wrong in that regard. But either Bowser Jr. or the Skull Kid.
I would lean the Skull Kid over Bowser Jr. Here's another one for you from Zelda. What about the Happy Mask Salesman?
Happy Mask Salesman, that might be where it's at.
Although maybe he's not...
Happy Mask Salesman is almost too... No, but he's like insane and put together at the same time in the same way that like the ghost is.
But the subway ghost, is he like... Because, Sam encounters him early in the movie when he first... just like realizes he's a ghost. He's trying to figure out the whole thing, and the subway ghost, like frightens him away, basically.
Right.
But I feel like the Happy Mask Salesman is almost, and then like the subway ghost later teaches Sam how to use like ghost telekinesis.
Yeah.
But to manipulate objects in the real world. But I wouldn't say he ever like. It's not like he like you learn more about the subway ghost, that he is, like a kind person and misunderstood or something.
No, in fact, like he sort of ends the training scene by like freaking out and diving back into a train.
And the Happy Mask Salesman is almost the opposite, where he lulls you in with a false sense of calmness and then reveals that actually he's a little bit insane. So I don't think Happy Mask Salesman is right for this.
Okay, he's sort of a reverse Happy Mask Salesman.
Yeah.
So who is insane at first, and then you can like break through that exterior to like extract some value, but ultimately this person is like
still insane,
too unruly for you to like get. And like maybe that is the Skull Kid wearing Majora's Mask, right? That you're like, oh, if I can learn your mask magic, then I'll be, I can I don't have to be stuck as a Deku scrub forever.
Right.
So maybe it is the Skull Kid.
Yeah.
Wearing Majora's Mask.
I think that's good. Okay, so Ghost from 1990. For Sam Wheat, it's starring Locke from Final Fantasy IV? Final Fantasy VI.
I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. Locke from Final Fantasy VI.
And then Molly Jensen is going to be Pauline from Donkey Kong.
Oda Mae Brown, Midna from Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess.
And the Subway Ghost is being played by the Skull Kid with Majora's Mask from The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. The substitute for Unchained Melody is the ending music from Super Mario Land.
Yeah. The most romantic piece of Mario music. That's right. Of Nintendo music.
I mean, I can't think of more romantic music than that. All right, next we are moving on to Beetlejuice 1998, directed by Tim Burton, of course. Just as Beetlejuice is, it's so weird to me that this movie's coming out, like 30 years after, almost 40 years after the original.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got...
also, Beetlejuice, not in Beetlejuice all that much.
No, he's in it for like 20 minutes, maybe. So let's run down the cast here. We've got Adam Maitland, who's Alec Baldwin's character.
Barbara Maitland, who's played by Gina Davis.
Charles Dietz, played by Jeffrey Jones.
Delia Dietz, played by Catherine O'Hara.
Lydia Dietz, played by Winona Ryder.
Otho, played by Glenn Shaddix.
And of course, Beetlejuice himself, played by Michael Keaton. So let's start with the pair of actual ghosts in this movie that are who are undeniably ghosts.
Yeah. So the plot of this movie is that Adam Maitland and Barbara Maitland are like a couple living in this house in rural Connecticut, and they have a car accident, and they die. And they're learning the rules of the underworld, but they are stuck in this house for like 125 years. But once they've died, this couple that are moving out of New York City and their daughter move in.
These are the Dietzes.
Charles Dietz is saying, I'm just looking to get away from the city. I just want to relax. Delia is, she's used to the high society of New York. She's also a sculptor.
Right.
And she has a very specific aesthetic.
Interesting.
And then Lydia is their is Charles's daughter
from a previous marriage. Yes.
And she's like maybe 14, 15.
Right. She's like Goth Daria.
That's right. That's right. And then Otho is Delia's like friend /
maybe
like,
art dealer. Like he's also like an
interior designer
for sure.
Yes.
And then Beetlejuice is like some kind of demon. We don't know. He's a chaos agent, right? He knows his way around the afterlife in the underworld. And so he like kind of trains the Maitlands on like how to be scary enough to drive these new people out of their house.
He like advertises himself as as his services are like getting rid of the living.
Right. He's like a professional scarer, like Sully from Monsters Incorporated.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Just grosser.
just way grosser.
Yeah.
And Lydia also makes like a deal with Beetlejuice at some point, and he like tries to marry her.
Yeah, at the very end, because at the very end, Otho is doing what he thinks. It's a whole thing. But
sure.
Yes, basically.
All right, great. So I think first things first is let's cast these ghosts, Adam and Barbara Maitland, so Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis, respectively.
But Alec Baldwin playing like kind of like nerdy.
Yes, playing like really like, and they're both playing pretty nerdy and like fairly passive because like they are uncomfortable with the idea of like scaring people out of their own house, which is why they have to hire Beetlejuice in the first place.
And in the beginning, they're taking a 2-week vacation where their plan is just to stay home.
Right.
Like they just seem like homebodies, comfortable with each other. Adam's whole thing is he is building like a miniature of the town upstairs. So I have Mr. Right from Link's Awakening.
Oh, for the
Adam.
yeah, that's good. I cast the Maitlands as a pair, and I cast them as Daisy and Luigi, but gender flipped. So the Baldwin role would be played by Daisy, and the Gina Davis role by Luigi. Because I feel like Barbara Maitland is even more like just sort of like a milquetoast, like just wants to hang out and like not inconvenience anyone or anything like that, and I feel like that's a more Luigi quality. And I just like having Daisy and Luigi together. But Mr. Right, especially as he appears in, did you say
Link's
in Link's Awakening? Yeah, he's like shy, right?
Well, he has glasses.
Sure.
So check.
Yep.
But his whole thing is like writing letters.
Right.
He's writing letters to somebody in like Animal Village. But
he doesn't know that he's writing letters to a goat. He thinks he's writing letters to a pretty lady.
That's right.
But it's a goat.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
She's a goat.
I think writing the like letters to me is like an analog for having a hobby like doing a miniature of the town.
Right.
So that more a little bit like nebbish personality is why I picked Mr. Right for this.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think that's better than my casting, which means then we need to figure out who plays Barbara Maitland.
So I have Mona from WarioWare as my pick here, who is such a kind of like positive person.
She is a positive person, but Mona is like, I don't know, she almost feels too social to be Barbara Maitland, right?
She is very social.
She's very social. She's outgoing. She's a cheerleader in one of the I think in Smooth Moves. I
liked Luigi. I think Luigi's a pretty good pick for this.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So the main ghost couple is going to be Mr. Right from Link's Awakening and Luigi.
I think it's good.
That's pretty good. Okay. Next, we're moving on to the Dietzes, and I mean, is it flag on the play here with casting Charles Dietz, just with what Jeffrey Jones as an actor, who he was, what he was?
I think we can
separate.
We're not casting Jeffrey Jones.
Got it.
We're casting.
In fact, we're kicking him off.
Exactly.
Okay,
to be replaced by.
Okay, my pitch here is Booster from Super Mario RPG. So Booster, the like semi-villain who's like not too much of a threat, but has a tower that like is his like sanctuary, where he like does what he does. Is maybe a little bit more eccentric than Mr. Dietz, but I just was going for like a paternal sort of evil but not really evil character.
Yes, this is exactly the vibe that I was on as well. So I picked Tom Nook from Animal Crossing.
It's pretty good.
Because like Charles Dietz,
he's like a real estate guy, right?
He is a real estate guy. So you know he in the beginning is all about I just want peace and relaxation, but he turns and is all about trying to capitalize on having ghosts in his house or buying up the entire town from underneath, like the people who live there.
No, that's good. I think Tom Nook is probably right. Is more in line with the characterization of Charles Dietz. So then we move on to Delia Dietz, played by the inimitable Catherine O'Hara. And like we said before, like sort of artsy, but like definitely has the like Tim Burton aesthetic, right?
Absolutely.
Is 100% a character that would have been played by Helena Bonham Carter if Tim Burton made it 10 years later. My pitch here is mostly going on like the vibe and the look. And I would do Hilda from The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. The low rule Zelda.
Yes.
Basically.
I like that. One thing that I picked up on was like the snobbery of Delia. So I went with and this is not an Animal Crossing villager that I know well. I kind of like looked for an Animal Crossing villager that I feel like fit it, but it's Pearl, Purrl.
Okay.
From Animal Crossing. Yes, it's a snooty villager.
I mean, many of them are snooty. Snooty is a one of the like
personality
6 personality
types.
Yes.
She's classy, uptown, and chic.
Okay.
However, she will appear rude, belittling, and snobbish when talking to the player or other villagers in the town, usually criticizing their dress sense or fashion. When talking to the player enough times, she'll befriend them, but still remain subtly rude. She has an interest in clothes over other hobbies. She'll have problems socializing with other villagers, which Delia, of course, doesn't want to have anything to do with the other people in the town.
Right, she definitely does not. Is Delia... let me ask you if this reads as true to you. Is she dumb?
Well, none of them, other than Lydia,
are particularly smart.
Are played as particularly smart. Right. They're all self-absorbed.
Right.
They're all different variations of more all about like keeping up appearances.
Yeah. Well, and so that's one of the like lines that I was trying to connect with Hilda, who is like, she's the opposite of Triforce of Wisdom, right? She's the Triforce of being a dummy, making bad choices, right? Allying herself with, whatever his name is, the bad guy from that game.
Oh yeah. What is the name of the bad guy from that game?
We're not gonna, I'm not gonna remember. I think Mark is gonna look it up. But I think both these candidates are good. The only reason I would push Yuga, Yuga.
Yeah.
The only reason I would push more for Hilda over this Animal Crossing villager, who does sound like she fits the bill, is like there's like 900 of these Animal Crossing villagers.
It's true. Like pick any of the snooty ones,
right?
And I think that's a good call.
Okay, so we're gonna go with Hilda.
Yep.
I don't know why, but I can't paste into our document right now, so I just had to like type it. Does that make any sense to you?
It's the ghost Patrick Swayze.
I think you meant the ghost. But yes, that's probably what it is. Patrick Swayze, get off my keyboard. All right, let's move on now to Lydia Dietz, played by Winona Ryder. Played this role basically for Tim Burton twice because it's basically her character from Edward Scissorhands. Is very like quiet, keeps to herself, has some like kind of rage hidden behind that quietude. Who do you have for Lydia Dietz?
I have Ashley from WarioWare. Ashley's the witch character who, puts up appearances of being tough and kind of mean, but she really just wants friends.
Right, and she does have a little friend who is Red, right? That little like devil guy. So I think like Ashley and Red as Lydia and Beetlejuice.
Well, no, Beetlejuice is not her friend.
That's true. You're right. Beetlejuice is like what's the opposite of a friend? I don't know if there's a word for it. But that is a pretty good pull. My pick for Lydia is Bernadetta from Fire Emblem Three Houses. Do you remember Bernadetta from Fire Emblem Three Houses?
No, I don't.
She is a like quiet recluse, is one of the students, right? That I believe she's in I forget actually which house she's in. I should have looked that up. But she's always like, there's always the time where you're just like walking around the monastery and like you can encounter people. She's never out. She's always in her room, and you can like go to her.
Oh,
her
I remember her.
And,
okay,
like, try to talk to her. And she's
I think she's
in the Black Eagles.
Yeah.
And so it's just like very quiet, keeps to herself, but is like broody as all get out. So that was my pick.
Mm-hmm.
So I think these are both good picks.
I think so too. I feel like they're like almost picking on like different parts of Lydia's personality.
Yes, I agree. How would you like to go here? It doesn't. I think either way works.
I think either way works as well. Do we already have a No.
A WarioWare character? No, we do not.
Let's go with Bernadetta.
Okay. Because otherwise I don't know where we're going to get Fire Emblem representation in here.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so Bernadetta from Three Houses going in here. Next, we are moving on to Otho.
Okay, I have a maybe unconventional pick for Otho.
I feel like I do too.
And it is Falco from Star Fox.
Not what I was expecting.
Now, physically,
right.
I don't think Falco fits the bill.
Right.
Otho's a larger gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
But Falco is very stuck up.
He's very prickly,
critical of other people, very skilled, or considers himself very skilled. But I think that they have very similar attitudes.
And also is like used to being like second fiddle to Fox in the same way that Otho is to Delia.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think there's and like some of that frustration like boils out for both of them. I think that's pretty good. My pitch it's really based in someone who is like an enthusiast for something, but is like ultimately kind of pathetic about it. I'm referring, of course, to Rusty Slugger from Rusty's Real Deal Baseball, the washed up ball player of a dog who runs a baseball memorabilia store.
I have Rusty a little bit later because, of course, we both cast Rusty in this.
Right.
You know, we have our favorites. So
we do.
Rusty would be our Helena Bonham Carter.
100%. I don't have Stanley on my list here.
I don't have Stanley on my list either.
Right. You want to save
Rusty.
I
want to save Rusty. I want to save Rusty.
Which means Falco is going to be our Otho, which feels like an unconventional pick, but it works.
Maybe this will be the surprising turn from Falco.
Sure.
Right? He's not known for being that kind of actor.
Right. Just as Michael Keaton surprised us by playing Batman.
Yes, exactly. Speaking of which,
just the next year. Yes.
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice, originally played by Michael Keaton, a chaotic demon ghost.
Undead of some type.
So I went with a classic Mario Agent of Chaos, Wario.
Wario's a good pick.
Wario's a good pick. He stinks. He farts. He smells weird. He doesn't care about anyone else.
Yep.
He's just gonna do what he needs to do. Wario.
I don't hate Wario at all. That's a really good one. Mine is Girahim from Skyward Sword.
Girahim.
Now the thing with Girahim is he's a little pretty.
He is a little pretty.
So again, but like Michael Keaton's not a bad looking fellow.
Yeah, but in the
but that's what I'm saying.
You're right.
We're casting this person.
Right. We're gonna put Girahim in the Beetlejuice makeup.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna put him in the padding. We're gonna put him.
Right, okay.
We're gonna put him in the striped suit.
Right,
We're gonna give him the green hair.
That's good.
He's gonna eat bugs.
Right. And he'll just be like teleporting around that little miniature city.
And really, it's the there's like a tongue thing that Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
he's always
like. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and Girahim has like his little tongue thing.
I wasn't thinking about the tongue thing.
Truthfully, I think these are two also good picks.
Yes. These are two good picks. I think I want to push for Wario just because, like, this was the first one that I was like, oh, it's Wario.
Wario's inherently gross.
Yes.
And I think that puts, like, as in, like, physically gross.
Yes.
And I do think that gives Wario the edge.
And you need someone undeniable in the role of Beetlejuice because they don't have a lot of time to do it.
No.
Right? So they just need to, like, show up in what amounts for, like, 3 scenes.
And you look at Wario and you're like, this is a problem.
Yes. This whole situation needs to be dealt with.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so Wario, very good.
Wario, and then, of course, what is going to be the song that replaces Daylight Come? No, wait. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Do you have a picture?
Oh, yeah, what is the equivalent of Deo?
I mean, and is it just Jump Up Superstar?
It is, of course. It is Jump Up Superstar.
Yeah. All right, great. So
well, I thought these were going to be hard, but they're not at all.
No, they're super easy and obvious, and I can't believe you were ever scared of it. Okay, great. Let's review what we have for the cast of 1988, Beetlejuice. Adam Maitland is being played by Mr. Right from Link's Awakening.
Barbara Maitland is being played by Luigi.
Charles Dietz is being played by Tom Nook.
Delia Dietz is being played by Hilda.
Lydia Dietz is being played by Bernadetta from Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Otho is being played by Falco.
And Beetlejuice himself is, of course, being played by Wario.
And Deo, the Banana Boat song,
yep,
would be replaced by this Jump Up Superstar from Super Mario Odyssey.
Can you imagine at the end of this, Bernadetta dancing on the staircase with a bunch of charging chucks to Jump Up Superstar?
Well, that's that's a different song. That's like Shake Sonora at the very end.
That's right.
Deo is during the dinner scene.
At the dinner
so
scene,
it's so it'd be Tom Nook, Hilda, Falco from Star Fox,
right,
and then like 3 other characters that we didn't cast.
Those could be Charging Chucks.
Charging Chucks dancing around the table,
right,
to Jump Up Superstar.
And then hands come out of the soup, and they can be the hands from The Legend of Zelda, and take them outside the dungeon. All right, now we move on to Ghostbusters, 1984's Ghostbusters, which let's talk through. I mean, Ghostbusters, this one feels primordial enough that I don't know that we need to like explain the plot or premise of Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's just do it briefly.
Okay.
There's three people in New York City: Peter Venkman, Ray Stantz, Egon Spengler, and then later joined by Winston Zeddemore, who the 3 of them originally like are college professors, researchers, scientists.
Yes.
And they start a business to capture ghosts.
Yes, to catch and detain ghosts.
Uh-huh.
And they hire Winston to like work with them to sort of like be their like tactical and muscle.
They bring him in because they have there's too many ghosts.
There's too many ghosts. They need help.
They need help. Janine Melnitz, played by Annie Potts, is their secretary. Dana Barrett, played by Sigourney Weaver, is a musician whose apartment and herself basically end up being possessed.
Right. And then also in the second movie, she's an art restorer for a museum.
Sure. And then
also like becomes the target of one of the defining characteristics, as far as I'm concerned, of Dana Barrett is that like she is overly haunted. Ghosts can't stop haunting her.
Perennially haunted.
Yes, perennially haunted.
Louis Tully, played by Rick Moranis, is kind of like a nerd.
Right. Is he their accountant?
He is an accountant.
Got it.
But he lives in the apartment with Sigourney Weaver, the same building.
Right.
And he gets possessed by a ghost as well.
Right. And in the second one, he babysits for Dana.
And then there's Slimer.
Right.
Who's a big green ghost who likes to eat stuff.
Now, in our preparation for the episode, I've seen Ghostbusters a bunch of times. So I wasn't going to rewatch Ghostbusters. Instead, I watched an episode of the real Ghostbusters animated series, season 1, episode 8, which is called Halloween Forever, the night that was Halloween Forever, which introduced. Hold on, wait a minute. The ghost of Halloween called Sam Hain, who is like a pumpkin-headed man.
The ghost of Halloween?
He's the ghost of Halloween, yes.
Okay.
And his goal is to make it Halloween forever. So he like raises all the ghosts, and I'm not suggesting we had to cast Sam Hain, the ghost of Halloween, but I'm just saying this is what I did to refresh and bone up on who the Ghostbusters are.
Do you feel like that was successful?
I don't know. The weird thing about the animated series is I don't think Dana Barrett is in it at all, but it does a lot more to characterize Slimer as their like fun ghost pal.
Yeah, okay, so I didn't see Ghostbusters as a kid. Like, I'm not even sure the first time I saw Ghostbusters. I was probably in my 20s. But I knew Slimer as their friend from seeing some episodes of the cartoon.
Right. And in the movie, he's just like an incident. He's just like one of the ghosts.
Yeah.
And like he eats a bunch of hot dogs, right? Like that's the only thing really that he does in the movie.
Yeah, he's like haunting a hotel and it's one of the first cases that the Ghostbusters successfully trap a ghost in.
So I think we should probably.
I just watched this 2 days ago. That's why I know all these details.
Okay, yes. And so we should maybe pull in some of his characterization from the cartoon as cute, food obsessed. He's buddies with the Ghostbusters, even though he's a ghost. But yeah, I think everything else we can just pull right from this original movie. So would you like to start with Peter Venkman?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you took an approach of casting all 4 Ghostbusters as a unit or anything like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So Peter Venkman, played by Bill Murray, is basically just a Bill Murray character. Close your eyes, picture a Bill Murray character. It's that. He's sarcastic. He tells jokes. He's effortlessly charming. And is behind the 8 ball a little bit on the science, but is also eerily competent, can just get stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way in which I've mischaracterized or have left characterization off the table there?
No, I don't think
Peter
so.
Venkman.
He's a charmer.
He's a charmer.
A little bit of a con man. A little bit.
Just a little bit of a con man, which of course is why I'm casting Swanky Kong as Peter Venkman.
Swanky Kong, very good. Yeah, I mean, checking all the boxes that we discussed previously. I have Red from Animal Crossing, the art dealer,
yes,
who does have some legitimate art, but also has a lot of fakes.
He's got more fakes than he has real art.
I
Red is. It feels like underselling to call him a con man. I think he is a thief who you can occasionally get a good deal from. Do you know what I mean? He tips too far on that spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't trust Red.
Yeah. Swanky Kong, you are right to maybe Dane in the beginning is hesitant to enter because Peter Venkman, obviously he's a smooth operator.
Right. She's seen too many smooth operators before.
Yes.
Right.
And you definitely get that vibe from Swanky Kong.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do we feel okay with Swanky Kong?
I do. I feel good about Swanky Kong.
As our Peter Venkman. All right. Next up is
Ray Stantz, played by Dan Aykroyd. And he's he knows all of the information, but he's not the egghead of the group. That's Egon.
Well,
but Ray is the blue collar.
Kind of.
He's the one who gets the car. He's the one who he's almost like a dog. When they go to the firehouse and the Egon and Peter Venkman are this is a dump. Ray is the one who runs in and is this is great, I love it. He goes down the fire pole.
Right.
We'll take it.
Yeah, he is more fun loving than Egon. I feel like I pair Egon and Ray together because they are both huge dorks about ghost stuff. But Ray's sort of angle on ghost stuff is anthropological, right? He understands historical context, and if they encounter a ghost that is from some period in history, he's going to have that information about where this ghost came from. Egon is going to be I can read the PKE meter and tell you.
He's the numbers guy.
He's the numbers guy, right? He understands the science of ghost busting, and Ray understands the anthropology of ghost busting, which I think is also why he's interested in having that old hearse as their car and the firehouse. He's just interested in these pieces of New York history as well.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
No, the car he gets because he thought he got a good deal.
Sure.
And it doesn't have anything to do with it and the firehouse he just thinks is cool. He likes that there's the fire pole in it.
Yeah, but I think that's also a piece of New York history though.
I don't think he cares about that.
Right.
There's nothing in the movie that indicates that he cares about that at all.
Okay.
This is where I have Rusty
as Ray. So I cast them as a pair, and I cast them as Robbie and Purah from Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, the old scientist, the Akala Lab characters. But it is hard to argue against Rusty Slugger as Ray Stantz.
And then I have Blathers for Egon.
Blathers, though, not a man of numbers, a man of words.
A man of words, yeah, a man of knowledge.
Yeah, I don't know who would be a man of numbers in this context. A Donkey Kong Jr. math? Who else teaches you math? He could be Dr. Kawashima. Kiwashima? Brain training?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Kimishima, I think. Ooh, we gotta look this up.
Because this is also a real person, right?
Yeah. Kawashima. I don't know. We're looking it up.
Yeah. But maybe that's the way to go.
Kawashima. Dr. Kawashima's brain training.
Okay. So how do you? Oh, I had another pitch for Egon actually outside of my pairing, and it's Jeff from Earthbound. And
yes,
that he's
totally.
Like, he's the king of gadgets.
Uh-huh.
Can't use like psychic power, but like is going to make up for it by measuring that stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Jeff is very good.
Okay, so we're gonna go with Dan Aykroyd's character being Rusty, Slugger, and Harold Ramis's character Egon being Jeff from Earthbound. And Earthbound, of course, just fresh in our minds.
What to do about Winston? Because in the movie, he doesn't really have much characterization.
He doesn't have much characterization in the sort of extended Ghostbusters universe. He is a former Marine and is like absolutely like their muscle. They like he's there for them to like get things done that like three dorks can't get done.
Oh, okay. So he's like Toadette.
Well, so my pitch was Samus Aran.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Like a total like man of action who's like, well, the rest of the guys are off like measuring stuff and reading books and making jokes.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna blast this thing. So yeah, Samus is how I go.
That's good.
Was Toadette your
I didn't really, no, I well, Luigi was my pitch.
Like just as he is like the sort of Ghostbuster.
Exactly.
But we have now used Luigi. Well, there's nothing saying that we can't again, but playing the Barbara Maitland role in Beetlejuice. But you want to go with Samus?
Yeah, okay. Samus is good.
Samus Aran playing Winston.
So next we have Janine Melnitz, played by Annie Potts, who is kind of their like put upon secretary, working long hours for not much pay.
Right. But is also that like she's that like perfect like grizzled first line of defense secretary, right? Like answering the phone and like dispatching the Ghostbusters. Kind of takes like no crap from anyone.
I have Pearl from Splatoon 2.
Pearl from Splatoon 2 is good. This is where I have Toadette.
Oh, okay.
And maybe some of that is just the voice.
The voice. Also, like Toadette, the Union Buster from
right
from Mario Maker 2.
Yep.
Like that definitely fits the bill.
But give me the
Pearl from Splatoon 2.
Argument for Pearl.
A little bit curmudgeonly.
Right.
Not going to take crap from anybody.
A strange little goblin.
Could be answering phones.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you know, like a team player.
Right. As long as it's team, we're both famous idols. I do worry that Pearl has too much of an ego to be Janine. But otherwise, it tracks perfectly. I think these are both good. I think these are both good polls.
Well, I'll tell you that maybe this, if we go with Toadette for Janine, what do you think about Marina for Dana?
Ooh, I like that because I actually don't. My Dana was Pauline. Because she's glamorous, she's a musician, she is in a. Well, I guess that's it. I guess those two things. And look, Sigourney Weaver, an absolute babe. Pauline, an absolute babe.
Yeah, but I feel
so too is Marina.
I feel like all these things are true for Marina.
Right.
Marina, a musician.
Yes.
Marina, an absolute babe.
Right.
Marina, like, is not going to immediately fall for the charms of Swanky Kong.
Right.
You know that
she will eventually.
Right. Sure, well, look, we're all going to fall to the charms of Swanky Kong eventually, but she's putting up the good fight. She's vetting. Right.
Yeah.
She's verifying before she's willing to go out with it.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Okay, so do we want to go
Toadette
for Janine.
Yes.
And Marina for Dana Barrett.
Yes.
All right, those are good pulls. Now we got to move on to, I mean, casting anyone else as Louis Tully almost feels like a crime, right? This is the Rick Moranis character, and like plays him in a way that only Rick Moranis can play a character in a movie.
He's very good.
He's very good. This is where I put, of course, hot young Egad.
Egad is great. Like, absolutely. And hot young Egad,
yes,
even better. I have Beetle from the Legend of Zelda series.
Thank you. Like a real dweeby kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm. But also Egad's got, strong dweeb energy.
Dude, yes. And by the time he's old Egad, I feel like he's a little bit more assertive, or he just doesn't care and like can bully Luigi and not really worry about it. But I have to imagine that hot young Egad was even dweebier.
Oh, for sure. Because when you're young, you have the capacity to care so much more.
That's right.
And also, like, in the movie, Rick Moranis, he is a dweeb, but he's not a bad person.
No.
Right? I mean, maybe he bugs Dana too much.
Right.
Like, he's obviously in love with her.
Right.
And so he, like, waits by his door waiting for her to, like, leave her apartment so he can go. And I could totally see a young Egad not sure how to
being
speak.
Way too thirsty.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's right. And also, like, which of these characters would have been transformed into a demonic dog at the bidding of an ancient evil?
Clearly it'd be young hot Egad.
Okay. Young hot Egad is our Louis Tully, which now just leaves us with Slimer. Slimer, friendly. We're using the cartoon characterization here. Likes to eat a lot. In particular, he likes candy and is like kind of annoying, but like is sweet.
I have Kirby.
Mark, Kirby is also on my list. So it's good that we can end on the same beat here. I had two other alternate pitches I just want to throw out there that I don't think will be beat by Kirby. One is Helix from Arms. That like green blob of a character.
That's good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, he fits the role, like no makeup necessary.
Right.
No makeup, no special effects necessary. And then the other is Master Koga from Breath of the Wild, which is sort of just like he's bad, but like almost more goofy than threatening. And that's sort of more like from the movie characterization of him.
Yeah.
But I think it's Kirby in a walk, right?
I think so too.
Yeah. So Kirby is going to be our Slimer, and then now we need to come up with a replacement for who you're gonna call Ghostbusters.
I think it's the DK rap.
I mean, especially with Swanky at the front of the team.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think DK rap is 100. Mark, this thing that we thought was going to be the hardest. Turns out
so easy.
It's intuitive.
So much Nintendo music maps directly
onto
to
songs from ghost movies. Yeah.
We should have seen it coming.
We should have seen it coming. All right. And then we are not casting the Sam Hain, the ghost of Halloween.
We're choosing not to.
We're
saving that for when we do this again in the future.
Right, yeah. Whenever they put out Luigi's Mansion 1 HD.
That's right.
Then we will revisit
Or
this
Luigi's
topic.
Mansion 4 Hot Young Egad.
Right. Well, I mean, I think we'll just explode with happiness and then there'll be no more podcast. So for Ghostbusters, we are starting here at the top. Peter Venkman is going to be played by Swanky Kong.
Ray Stantz is going to be played by Rusty Slugger.
Egon is going to be played by Jeff from Earthbound.
Zedmore is Samus Aran.
Janine Melnitz is played by Toadette.
Dana Barrett, played by Marina.
Louis Tully is going to be played by Hot Young Egad.
And Slimer will be played by Kirby.
And, of course, the theme song to the Ghostbusters with Nintendo characters is the DK rap. All right, Mark, let's close this out. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Thank you so much to our 60-minute patrons, Connor McKay, Patrice Millette, Kyle Seaborn. We appreciate you all. We appreciate everyone who's listening to the show or who interacts with us in any way, shape, or form. If you would like to interact with us more, you can get in the Discord, email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com, and we will send you an invitation Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying we ain't afraid of no ghosts, and thank you for listening.